Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that I got to hear from all the brilliant doctors before me. My presentation's a little bit different. I'm just going to be talking about myself, but I hope you guys enjoy. I began wrestling when I was little, sixth grade. That's me, awkward little Danielle. That's my first tournament. As you can see, though, I was strong. I was awkwardly and abnormally strong for being a little girl. And so that strength made me quite successful right away when I first joined the sport of wrestling. And it was that early success that had me hooked. These little clip-bits or snippets that you can see are from what I call my baby books. Every year before a new school year, my mom would ask us what we wanted to be when we grew up, and she would write it down there. And you can see the first one, I think the top left one is from second grade. I said I wanted to go to the Olympics. We won't talk about my failed dreams of being a TV star and singer, though. But anyway, I wrestled all the way through high school, had quite a successful high school season. And so I decided to continue wrestling at university. And so I moved to BC and wrestled for Simon Fraser University for 5 years. And those 5 years at SFU were some of the best years ever. And my wrestling career was going quite flawlessly, quite a linear progression of sport. And I was winning all of the age group tournaments that I should have been winning. So I was winning junior nationals, university nationals a few times, junior worlds. And so I saw 2016 Olympics specifically as my time to shine, my time to be successful at the games. And everything was working out the way it should be for that dream to become a reality. In 2014, I had my best season ever. I, for the first time, won senior nationals. The picture of me on the left there is me right after I won in the finals. I had beat a girl who had beat me probably 20 some times before that. And so that was a really special moment. That year, I got to go to the Commonwealth Games, I got to go to University Worlds and my first senior world championships. After that season, I took some time off and went back straight away after a couple of weeks to training again for the next season. 2015, we were going to have our Olympic trials, so it was going to be a big year. However, in November 2014, I ended up tearing my ACL. And that was a big deal to me. That was a horrible experience. It was my first big injury. It was the first time that I had to deal with an injury. It was the first time I had to deal with the possibility of not having wrestling. Unbeknown to me, I was valuing myself as a person through my performance in sport. And so this really showed me that I had to deal with that, and then also go through, the physical and emotional and mental stressors of going through an ACL rehab. 13 months later, we had our Canadian Olympic trials for the 2016 Olympic Games. So 13 months after my ACL reconstruction. And luckily for me, I was able to make it happen. I won that Olympic trials. And so this meant that I was going to go to the 2016 Olympic Games. The next 9 months after that tournament, after the Olympic trials, were the best 9 months ever. I was having the best time. I was wrestling well. I was winning most of the tournaments I was entering. And so going into Rio, I was convinced that I was going to be successful there. I was really optimistic. I was really confident. And so at the Olympics, we head to Rio. I'm the first match of the day on the tournament day. And I'm doing a warm-up that I've done hundreds of times before. And at the very end of my warm-up, my second last move, I feel pain in my left butt cheek. And I fall to the mat. I get taken to the Canadian room to get assessed. Nobody really knows what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong, but pop a couple Advil. And the next thing you know, the organizers for the Olympics are looking for me to start the day because, again, I was the first match of the day. And so I walked out onto the mat telling myself that I could do this. People, they perform with injuries all the time, and it's just it could be an inspirational story. I walk up into the mat, shake my opponent's hand. The whistle blows. My opponent snaps my head down, and I collapse. And so this picture on the right is me moments after that happened. Just don't know what's going on, what's happened. But I do know in that moment that my Olympic dream is over. I had to withdraw from that match and from the Olympic Games. And so obviously that was a horrible experience. It turns out I had ruptured my semimembranosus in my warm-up somehow. Don't really understand it to this day, but happened. And after that, I didn't know if I wanted to continue wrestling or not, or if I could even. I didn't get surgery or anything. Didn't know how it would heal. A few months later, though, in early 2017, I found out I got into law school in Calgary, and I was able to start wrestling around a little bit. And so I made the decision at that time that I wanted to make a comeback, or try to at least. And so I moved to Calgary and started wrestling for the Calgary Wrestling Club. And so from 2017 to 2019, wrestling with Calgary, I had some of the best results I've ever had. Won my first senior world medal, and was just having a lot of fun. In December 2019, we had the 2020 Olympic trials, and I was successful there. And then in March 2020, we had the Olympic qualifier, the Pan Am qualifier. I won that tournament, which meant I was officially going to the 2020 Olympic Games. A week later, they announced that they were going to postpone the games for a year. And that was hard, but at least I would get my second chance still. So I was happy to still be qualified, and that I could keep my spot, and I was going to Tokyo. In August of 2020, however, I tore my other ACL. And this was 11 months before my scheduled competition date at the 2021 Olympic Games. And so that obviously was horrible timing. I was angry, I was mad, but I made the decision that I was going to, make a comeback. And so I actually was in Calgary at this time. So I worked with all of the researchers there at CSI Calgary that Dr. Jordan was talking about earlier. And I was really proud of myself for this comeback. I was really diligent in the rehab, in all the progressions going back to wrestling. Wrestling's a really hard sport to come back from an ACL, because you can't really wear a metal brace. There's a lot of twisting and turning and people pulling on your knees all the time. But I did it. I made a comeback, and I headed to Tokyo. At the Olympics in Tokyo, I competed against Russia in my first match. And unfortunately, I did not win that match. My knee was feeling great, but honestly, I just didn't have enough time to get kind of my timing and the feeling back. So I was not yet the wrestler I needed to be, and the wrestler I was before that injury. And just simply, I needed to be that wrestler in order to win a medal for Canada. And unfortunately, that didn't happen for me. I returned to Canada. So I'm currently in Victoria trying to get through the SPAR admissions course. But I've had a lot of time without wrestling to kind of reflect back on my experiences in sport. And unfortunately, my experiences have a lot to do with injury. And I think any athlete, any high performance athlete is going to experience some kind of injuries. But in overcoming those injuries, I changed. Each one has changed me. Each one has made me a different person. And I think a better person than I was before I experienced those things. And so today I'm thankful for that. And thank you guys. And I'm looking forward to the panel discussion.